Hi class. In this video we're going to look at another example from chapter 5. So this example is similar to your homework, specifically problem P5-20. So my numbers are a little bit different, but same process, so it should kind of give you a guide as to how to do your homework. So this says High Country produces and sells many recreational products. And the company has just opened a new plant to produce a folding camp cot that will be marketed throughout the United States. We've got some cost revenue data related to May. And this is actually a new company, so they didn't have anything previous to this, so that these are all beginning numbers at the beginning of their operations. It says, management is anxious to see how profitable the new camp cot will be and has asked that an income statement be prepared for May. So then we have several tasks. Requirement 1, assume the company uses absorption costing. And the first thing we're to do is determine the unit product cost. So remember, absorption costing actually includes our fixed manufacturing overhead, as well as all of our direct material, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overhead. So we are actually considering some fixed costs when we do absorption costing. Alright, so we've got some data up here. We have manufacturing costs, and they give us direct material cost, direct labor cost, and variable manufacturing overhead. So we can actually just bring those straight down. So we've got direct materials of $15, direct labor was $8, variable manufacturing overhead was $3, and then we need fixed manufacturing overhead, and we've got fixed manufacturing overhead. But that's certainly not a per cot amount. If it was, it would be the most expensive cot in the world. So that's $840,000, but that's for the whole entire month. So we need to figure out, well, how much was it per each unit? So we're going to actually have to calculate something up here. So we had 42,000 units produced, and each of those units that we produced cost us in fixed manufacturing overhead. So if we take the $840,000 that we paid in fixed manufacturing overhead and divide it by, well, how many did we manufacture? 42,000. So we're going to divide 840,000 divided by 42,000 units produced. And I forgot my little equal sign there. So we should have fixed manufacturing overhead of $20 per unit. So we add 4 of those items, we will come up with absorption costing unit product cost of $46 a unit. So the next thing it says that we are to do is prepare an income statement for May using absorption costing. So we need a few things. We need to know our sales, our cost of goods sold, and our selling and administrative expenses. So let's see. We come back up here. We know we sold 37,000 units, and we also know that we charged $75 a unit for those. So we can come up with our total sales by taking the number of sold, which was 37,000, and multiplying that by $75, which is what we charge per unit. So that should give us $2,775,000 in sales. Our cost of goods sold is our number of units sold, which was 37,000 units, and we're doing absorption cost per unit, so that's $46 per unit. So we're going to take the 37,000 units and multiply it by the number that we calculated in part 1A, which is how much it cost us to do each one of those units, which gives us a cost of goods sold of $1,702,000. So we can then calculate our gross margin by taking our sales less our cost of goods sold. And we need selling and administrative expenses. So let's go back up here and see what this says. Looks like we've got selling and administrative expenses in 2 categories. We've got a variable amount of $3 per unit and a fixed amount of $559,000. So we're going to go down here. We're going to take the $559,000, which is our fixed selling and administrative expenses, and we're going to add to that our variable selling and administrative expenses. And those were $3 per unit times the number of units that we sold, which was 37,000 units, gives us selling and administrative expenses of $670,000. So after we have that number, then we can calculate our net operating income by taking our gross margin and subtracting out those selling and administrative expenses. So we have a net operating income of $403,000. All right, so requirement 2, we're going to assume the company uses variable costing. All right, so when we do that, we don't consider fixed overhead. So you'll see if we compared this little chart that I've made to calculate with the same one in part 1A, you'll see that I took out the fixed cost because this is only variable costs or variable costing. The rest of it's the same. So our direct materials don't change. They're still $15. Our direct labor is still $8, and our variable manufacturing overhead is $3, and all of that is given in the instructions. So our variable costing unit product cost is $26. And then it says part 2B, prepare an income statement using variable costing. So let's see, we have sales, we have some variable expenses, then we're going to list our fixed expenses, and then finally come up with a net operating income. So you can calculate the sales again, but under either method the sales are going to be the same. So I'm just going to copy and paste. Maybe. Okay. All right, so our sales are still, $2,775,000. Then we need, our variable cost of goods sold. So we're going to use this $26 up here to calculate that. So 26. We're going to multiply that by the number of units sold, which was $37,000, or sorry, 37,000 units. So then we have $962,000. Then we need variable selling and administrative expenses. So this is a calculation we haven't done before. We're going to go up here and find our selling and administrative expenses. And we've got a portion of those that are fixed and a portion that are variable. So $3 is the variable portion, and that's what we're working with down here is our variable cost. So we're going to take the $3 and multiply that by 37,000 units sold. Gives us $111,000. So our total variable expenses are just the total of those two types of variable expenses. And then we can calculate our contribution margin by taking our sales less those variable expenses. So we have a contribution margin of $1,702,000. So now we're going to categorize and report those fixed expenses, because in variable costing all those fixed expenses get reported separately from the variable expenses. So we've got fixed manufacturing overhead, and I believe that's given up here, $840,000. We also have fixed selling and administrative expenses of $559,000. So we don't have any calculations to report both of those because they give us the total. So we're just going to type those in. So we got $840,000 in fixed and $559,000 in selling and administrative. And that was fixed manufacturing and fixed selling and administrative. So we can add those together. So that's our total fixed expenses. And our net operating income or loss, we're going to take our contribution margin less our total fixed expenses. Excuse me. And that gives us $303,000 in net operating income. And that is all there is to this one. So hopefully this is helpful as you do your homework.